welcome everyone. Will start our lesson 2. This lesson will go through our LO2. As you know me, as a couple of you know me, my name is Anjum Sata. Please, if you have any question, drop me email anjum@ukuniversity.co.uk and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So please, this week, we're looking understand the nature and the importance of internal control. Internal control mean within the company and various sort of control. Control is a corrective action. So because the planning and control, if you plan things and you don't have a control, it won't work. So that's we need to be make sure when you plan things, please you have a control in place. So that's help you to achieve your organization objective. So please is very crucial. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Okay, hope you can hear me. Okay, so this week we're looking understand the nature and the importance of internal control. Last lesson we discussed about assurance engagement, and we discuss about auditor never give the absolute assurance. Auditor give the positive or negative assurance based on, so is a high degree of assurance can be. So but never said these accounts are without any errors, because these accounts prepared in the light as in the line with the accounting international audit standard. So we had a discussion during the last lesson about audit assurance, and this week please we're looking internal control and assurance, so which is a very important topic. Like in case of the Enron, Trillion Construction Company, and various other organizations, due to the poor control, they have the various issues, the pension shortfall, 75 million, creative accounting. That's one of the key areas really we need to be look around. So that's we need to be focus on various internal control in a company, and control system need to be transparent, especially when you're dealing with the cash business. Is a more risk, so we have to be make sure more control in place, different control system, watching, managing, or doing the bank reconciliation statement regular. So today lesson indicative content, what we're supposed to be learn, please. Computerized manual system, consideration for control environment, which preventive or defective control, and internal audit. So assurance risk component of risk, which we had at risk is the probability or the chance of happening. So during last lesson, we had a little bit discussion on risk management. So please, inherent risk, which is inherently, when any business, like, when you're doing cash business, especially, is inherently risk, can be, it can be cash miss, someone steal the cash, but if the things are coming in a bank, is a less risk. So in audit, it can be inherently risk, can be something can be overlooked. So inherent risk control risk, because if you not control, that can be sometime maybe we not detect the risk, and that can be itself in audit is the risk. So legal responsibility, liabilities, and minimizing the risk, audit engagement, and exercising the professional judgment. So as auditors, we're not going to check each and every transaction. We use the professional judgment. We look the processes. On the basis of this, we draw the our give our views, our opinion, or we can create a report as a editor. So please identify the needs of the organization, have the effective system of control in, because it's one of the crucial areas. So you have a clear SOP, standard operating procedures in place. Discuss the need for the main areas of the business that need to be effective controls, which if we look the purchasing, sales, uh, marketing, HR, and various departments. So those we can look around different internal control, can be. So both manual and computerized environment, explain, internal control, evaluate, and conclusion drawn. And then please, if you want to work towards the merit criteria in internal control, help, mitigate the risk, the risk can be minimized. So that's which we need to be. So what is the internal control? So please, internal control is a process design, implement, and maintain. Those are charged with the governance. So you have to be think about it's not a conflict of interest. Clearly governance, because that's the one of good few years back, the Barclay Bank CEO been paid £2 million bonus when the Barclay Bank not earned a single penny back in Theresa May government. So we have to look around why this is happening. Yes, so we have executive, non-executive team and the remuneration committee, and those we need to be look around. So we have internal control. So management is, what is the management? Is the process of designing an environment to achieve the objective. So we have to think about, the process. We have to create the environment. So provide a reasonable assurance about the achievement of entities, organization, and the objective with regard of reliability of the financial statement. So financial statement need to be true and fair. Of course, we can't say 100% is no error, but material like, a few years back, Tesco, their turnover was around 67 million, but they showed 220 million. So it's not a that is the material, so that can influence on the decision making of the user of the financial statement. So it means the financial statement wasn't true, and of course, director of the company is being, investigated for the criminal inquiry. So we have to think about, especially in the public limited company, because at the end of the day, the public money. So efficiency of the operation, compliance, applicables. We have to look around the component, control, environment, risk assessment process, what is exists. So we have to think about, the information system relevant to the financial control activities and monitoring control. We have a GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, used to be back-end commission, which is unethical. So it should be the control system, look around and meet all the legal requirement, as well the bribery act as well. So stakeholders mean anyone who has any interest in the business. We have to think about materiality, which we said significant. Okay, so please, which we mentioned the example of Tesco earlier. So we have to, not all the control is the relevant. Audit risk is assessment, the edited primary concern with the part of the management risk. So we have to be revise the material misstatement in the financial statement. So we have to cross check. So we have a ISA, which is called International Standard for Assurance Audit, is 315. It state, the auditors need to be understand the entity internal control, entity is environment. So if you not understand the industries or the process, so that's, is one of the crucial elements. So assist, the process, identify the 5 component of internal control. So internal control environment and organization really identify the risk assessment process and information system is, and the control activities. Yes, so monitoring control and control environment. So we can look around the control environment, include the governance and the management, the function, and not one person is controlling everything, issuing the invoices, issuing the purchase order. So we have to be think about, and those document is are secure, So we need to be make sure how they make the decision about the things, which we can look around and need to draw the opinion based on these. Monitoring and internal control element are the reporting, because if you're doing a monthly reconciliation, of course, that's, the errors can be adjusted quickly instead of you do once a year. So communication enforcement integrity, which we discuss, are ethics, So please, we need to be look around integrity, honesty, yes, ethical values, 5 professional code of ethics, which we discussed in the last lesson, philosophy, operating styles, the management style, organization structure, clear role and responsibility, segregation of duties. Those are very important. We need to be look around internal control. So control environment, attitude, awareness of the action of the management, communication in force of the integrity and ethical value, commitment and the competencies and participation, those, the charge with the governance and management philosophy and the operating style, the organization structure. So please, reporting properly, operating properly, and keeping in within the law. So that's we can look around, like, the national minimum wage, the GDPR, health and safety act. So these are all the basic, we need to be really follow in within that's, embedded. So information system consists of infrastructure, physical hardware. How often we have a policy in place, changing the password, like nowadays, uh, two-tier authentication. That's, do we have what the process we have? The financial objective, initiative, record, process, and report. So policies, procedures ensure, the management active are carried out, performance review, information processing, physical control of the asset. Those are, it's not being stolen, segregation of the duties. Not one person is doing everything. So please, those we need to be look around. So when we do assignment, so in our last lesson, we can embed, some different sort of control to address, the learning outcome. So statutory requirement, which is by law, you have to do. It's a directive of the company required by law to keep, accounting record. Like in case of Enron and Anderson, 3 hours movie on Enron, please, if you want to be World Telecom, Grillian Construction Company, and committees and Peacock, a number of, others, retailing and clothing. So that's, we need to be look around these issues, why this are happening, walk through test, observations that can be ensure the system operate, and like, the security check, like nowadays, of course, looking these issues in environment, so addressing that. So walk through the details may make a control risk, and which I shared with you the yesterday. Please on the WhatsApp group, it's good to be if you want to be look around different control system, and those we can implement, which we'll go through and we'll discuss next lesson as well. Perform when the risk assessment include, expectation of the operating effectiveness control, substantive procedures are insufficient or sufficient, those tests of control include inquiries. So you saying the asset is our, like, we have a IFRS 16, which is about the leases. And normally the people have the leases and the property. They are saying their property actually is on lease, and when you recording the lease, you record the asset as a debit and credit as a liability. And then if you carry on paying it, then of course, because in the past there wasn't IFRS 16, we used to be only operating lease and finance lease under IAS 17. So these are, the things are changed after trillion and number of, other financial scandals. So in inspection, the documents, supporting control, examination of the evidence, which we can look around, reperformance, control activities, and testing, the control. If those are, as I detailed, we have to be make sure. So if the risk assessment is shown control, ineffective testing, in uh, efficient test of control. So we have to look around, because if there are the big difference in the transaction, we pick, because we can't do every. So you have to think about the sample size is appropriate, the control system in our organization, those are well in place, and we can, as a detail, we can test it. Okay, revenue control system of control objectives. So one of the control for revenue, sales made to the good credit rating. So what is the credit rating procedure? Are we doing, do we have a credit control department to look around the things, who are encouraged to pay, promptly, orders are the correct, and orders are fulfilled on time, and dispatching invoices, all the invoices are recorded correctly, and then no one is being missed, and recording and accounting of the credit control. So we can look around the transaction recorded in the correct. So we can look around the like a sale ledger control, and then of course sale, so sale ledger control means debtors account. So you have to think about, or you can look around the purchase in case of, if it's purchase. So we can look around sale ledger control and purchase ledger control. We can look around each individual account, and we can add them, and we can check, so maybe we can look around one product and we can test, Okay, so ordering and granting the credit. So we can say, let's say you want to apply. So what is your process? So as I detailed, we want to know the control system are appropriately authorization, or is it not, the family members or someone, what is the control, is how we make sure conflict of interest or comply with the compliance rule. So test of control is can be reference, authorization, credit term, or which credit rating company we are using. We are using Equifax, are we using experience? So if we are using how, and how many people we gave the loan, and what basis we gave, and why we gave, or maybe we can, do we have the set control, and are we chasing them to cover, the how many days that was the receivable days. So that's, which we need to be look around as well. Authorization of the dispatch, examination of the goods, recording of the goods outward, dispatching node we have, is it the same person is dealing every process? Then of course is a poor control. So, so do we have a numbers, the register, which is sequence, we have signature of the customer, authorization of the prices, and arithmetical or numerical check, we have, those accounting record and the credit control, segregation of duty, which we said, not one person doing everything, from scratch to end. So that's a high risk, in audit purposes. So auditors can give the opinion there is, it's not the we can never give the absolute assurance. As we discussed, we say that assurance is, it can be negative assurance, like, nothing came in our notice in the light of these, but we can say the things we check it, we have, not found. So we can look around the test of control, you can look around the sale invoices, you can dispatch notes, their records. So please, debt click, always look around why is a double entry. So that is very good and crucial in audit, especially of course due to some those company use, or the government department use, the single entry is very difficult because they don't want to, for the security reason. But sometimes the fraud can be the public sector organization. Of course, we have the loan principle, the ethics, or the code of conduct, or the ministerial code. So we need to be like, one of the deputy prime minister, she left the job due to because not follow the. So purchase system control objective, we need to be linked back to the risk. So we can look around order being authorized. We can look around made by the authorized suppliers. We can look around the internal control, as you mentioned in case of the sale, which is quite similar. And of course, sale and purchase it two opposite side of. And we can look around double entry bookkeeping. We can ask third party invoices, and of course those we need to be look around authorized, properly recorded, the correct amount, and the test of control, those we can. And that's, is quite crucial as a detail. So you can apply these and look around the audit is being following. So internal control, like if you're looking in case of, the purchasing of the sale, examine the good inward quality. Of course, do we have a quality control in place? The goods are broken and putting in the warehouse, or back end commissions, maybe never know. Yes, so these are the corruption rules, those are in place and clearly being communicated. That's why it's a crucial. One person not deal with everything. Compare good receipt notes, reference suppliers invoices, how we decide supplier, what basis, we get the uh, like requisition from all, and then we set the supplier from the list. What is the our process to include the supplier in our list, so what we check from their reference and all this, the previous. So segregation of duties, prompt recording, comparison, authorization, reviews, allocation, like uh, revenue and capital expenses, those being recorded. So we know the revenue expenses, day in and out expenses, like when you're buying assets, so these are capital expenditures, and we can authorize the capital allowance. If you're putting the wrong, maybe you claiming the capital allowance, and you will be in the light of the HMRC perspective. So you have to be very clear, and check, invoices and scored by the GNR numbers. Yes, good receive numbers, the price. So that's why it's the process. Of course, nowadays AI and number of other tools, the we can technology or digital transformation of the invoices. So that's help, tracking quicker. So cash system control, that's also please we need to be. That's why maybe we going from cash to giving them through the bank, and we need to be look around, but still is the cash happening. Of course, nowadays come next year, especially HMRC going to move from the cash, the system control objective. Now we're moving towards more sale digitalization. So that's, withdrawing the cash of the program. Internal control, of course, we can look around the bank statement, bank reconciliation, the payment procedures, and the test of control. So please again, so it doesn't matter whichever example you will add, for when we do the internal control. So you can look around the purpose of control, why in case of, so recording the inventory, like, inventory mean, like we have a IS2. Anyone heard about IS2, International Accounting Standard 2, which is about inventory. Inventory should be recorded at cost or net realizable value, whichever. Like if you have a window 98 CDs, and the window 98 in 98, maybe 200-pound CDs, and still we have in our warehouse, and still is showing 200 pounds. So we so we have to think about, why not we revalue our asset according to in the light of, the accounting standard, net realizable value, whichever is the low. So because it's not the value of window 98 too, so if you're showing 200, it means you're misleading, and the information not true and fair, and the financial statement not in line with the international accounting standard too. We have to think about inventory holding, protection, valuation. Yes, stealing inventory. Do we have a camera, securities, password? sorry about. Okay, so please, if you have any question, if you like to ask, so we can think about first in, first out inventory evaluation method. Normally in financial accounting, we're not using LIFO anymore according to IAS 2 because they're not accepting in the financial accounting, but the management accounting is no problem because that's more internal. Okay, so please, these are good for you. Example, internal control, protection, valuation, and inventory holding, test of control, which we can apply these, and those are the check the sequence of the inventory record, look around the valuation of the inventory, look around the control, environment, temperatures, and things, properly inventory and the health and safety we can look around because if you're food business, so these are quite crucial here. So payment, of course, we have to think about the timesheet, the payment, is it salary or if somebody is absent from work, what is the process involved, national insurance. So because if you deducting, we can go in a HMRC, we can check, few samples. On the basis of this, we can say payroll control system is, and we can segregation, authorization, recording any changes, if somebody promote, what is, and of course, nowadays digitally, of course, it's very easy and update, either Sage payroll or any other payroll, whichever you're using, but again, look around the test of control. Okay, so please, you can maybe working on the non-current asset register, which is asset which can be used and a high value asset. We have to think about the depreciation method. Do those we have a consistent. If you're changing depreciation method, the value of the asset can be changed. So you have to reinstate the previous year figure. So because the financial statement need to be true and fair. So maybe that's one off. So what basis we are price, what basis we budgeting, where the source, and that's which we can look around in terms of the control if you're working. So please SCCA map, that's which the word we can. That's the authorization, computer control, comparison with the budget versus the actual. So we can look around the various processes, especially in the management point of view, maintain and review control, account, reconciliation, physical CCTV, segregation of duty who's responsible for what. So we have to think about assurance engagement. So how we can recruit, the details. Do we have an AGM, the board be given, an annual general meeting, reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, limited assurance is low level of assurance, the detail never give, absolute assurance. We already had a discussion in our lesson one as well, which was about the assurance engagement, accountant expression. Of course, we can look around the agent, agency, editors and shareholders and the delegation and their relationship. So please, these are all the crucial elements for the test control purposes. So you have to think about. Sorry about. Okay, so we can look around the objective of the editors is to identify and assess the risk. Risk is, so there are the different approaches. So we have the indemnity insurance in place. So we can use one of the approaches called TARA. To transfer the risk, do we have insurance, avoid the risk, if you what the process you have, response to the risk, what we have, if you have disaster management, conflict management, or others, so are we can avoid these, or do you have the clear control system in place, like we mentioned earlier, credit control. So audit risk, please, that can lead to be the risk of the material misstatement inherently. So it depends, especially IT business, the value of the inventory is carry on changing so rapidly. The technologies change, of course, if you have a stock of millions. So you have to be think about the control risk, the risk of the entity, internal control. Maybe those are deduction. Are we deducting the system? Identify risk if the invoice is not appropriate or the good not being delivered. So we can look around assessing risk. So what the system of control is in place, the testing, like, we have the huge impact, external environment. So what we have, like pestle, political, economic, social, and technological, we have to think about, contingent liability. So like if the case against the like Facebook data breaches, so we have to be, because what we are saying, financial statement, it need to be true and fair. So you have, if you have, what do you have that? So what is the likelihood of, so we have to be clearly reflect as a liability contingent. It can be like if the likelihood is more than 50%. So what procedure you have, the test and analytical procedures, please, those we need to be as a detail, we have to follow these. Materiality, we said earlier, material may be significant. So if it's 10 pound difference is no problem, but if there is a £1,000,000 difference, of course, if we're not caring about the 10 pound, it can be become a material, so editors can look around. But if big multi-million company, it can be, the few pound difference is no problem. Of course, that's not a material. So maybe material in size, in nature, and effect, that's we can look around material and significant. Fraud risk, usually the transaction, what is the process is authorizing the credit and the financial statement in line with and revaluation, capital gain tax, and all of this. So do we have follow RBR updating all in light of the accounting standard and audit standard. So please, I included some links for you, and I send you the booklet if you want to look around any control, like if you want the sales day book, purchase day book, and you look around the control process step, and if the real scenarios you've been given the book. So when we'll do, we can explain what is meant by internal control in case of the sales, what is the control system in place, what step we can follow, and is there any segregation of duties, the issue, so you can identify there is a problem. Okay, so that's all from my end. Please, if you have any question, Victoria, you like to ask? Okay, so that's all from my end, please. Today we discuss about internal control. As I details, we never gave absolute assurance. We give the reasonable assurance and negative assurance. Nothing came in attention, so that can be in light of. So we discuss about audit risk, inherent risk, control risk. So these are the risks, which we need to look at. Okay, so that's all from my end. And the next week, please, we'll go through our LO3 on Saturday, LO4 on Sunday, and the following week, we'll do assignment discussion, how we can address all the learning outcome in assignment. I'll share with you the sample, and I already shared with you, please, a Kaplan book, and I shared with you others, which is part of, and the free one, the London School of Business and Finance one, which I shared with you. That's quite good booklet as well to look around when you write, so we can embed. Otherwise, please, it's always good to be, if you really want to look around internal control, an article of ACCA, if you can find article on internal control ACCA. So that's quite good, which when we'll do assignment, because this is not exam based course, we have to just add few reference and discuss. And even if one keeping in view of GDPR, if you want to something in your based on your own experience, adding some things, you can as well. Okay, so that's all, and hope we'll speak you all during our next week, on Saturday, and have a lovely week and a bit left. Okay, thank you. Thanks for attending.